watching HNNCast with Space Rogue on the Hacker News Network.
HNN is sponsored by Astaro, simplifying security. Become a sponsor. Email sales@hackernews.com.
This is Space Rogue for the Hacker News Network, and this is HNNCast for the third week of May 2010. We've got a lot of big stories to bring you this week, including the return of Courtney. But first, our top story. Carters.cc, a German forum for illegal trading of credit card data and other illicit activities, was recently brought down by a group calling itself the Happy Ninjas. In a story first reported by Brian Krebs, the Happy Ninjas released information containing forum messages, member usernames and passwords, and other information to sharing sites such as RapidShare and Pastebin. The release of information was entitled as the first issue of the Owned and Exploited e-zine, in which they also claimed responsibility for erasing the website of 1337 Crew, or probably Elite Crew. Hopefully, taking down one of the largest online carding forums doesn't disrupt too many law enforcement operations. One of the last remaining members of the TJX crime spree that siphoned off more than 40 million credit card numbers has been arrested. Indian police have announced that they have arrested Fidel, aka Sergei Storchak, from the Ukraine after he landed at the New Delhi airport on a layover en route to Turkey. Fidel worked as a reseller for Segvec, aka Albert Gonzalez, who helped turn the stolen credit card numbers into cash. The FBI has asked for Fidel's extradition to the U.S. Zeus Tracker, a website that monitors the status of ISPs used to control various Zeus botnet, says that ProxiesNet has been disconnected from the network. ProxiesNet was known as a bulletproof provider and hosted 13 known Zeus command and control channels before being disconnected. It's not really known why ProxiesNet was disconnected by its upstream provider DiggerNet. Researchers feel that this will probably be a short-lived victory, as redundancies built into the Zeus botnet code will most likely allow the bots to phone home over alternate channels. About a year ago, the Federal Trade Commission was able to get a preliminary injunction against California-based 3FN.net, an ISP that has been accused of spreading malware, sending massive amounts of spam, and of hosting command and control servers for various botnets. The FTC has finally convinced the court to order that all 3FN assets be seized and sold, and that over 1 million of the proceeds will be given to federal authorities. No mention is made about the people who actually ran 3FN. Chances are they'll just move on and set up shop somewhere else, and the cat and mouse game will continue. Ghost Exodus, aka Jesse McGraw, has pleaded guilty to 2 charges of transmitting malicious code after he compromised at least 14 systems at the Carroll Clinic in Dallas, Texas, where he worked as a night shift security guard. At the time, Ghost Exodus was the leader of the underground group known as the Electronic Tribulation Army. The group has since distanced itself from their former leader and has claimed to have gone totally legit. Ghost Exodus could receive up to 10 years in jail for each count. He's scheduled to be sentenced in September. Hey, here's a pro tip for all you wannabes out there. Don't film yourself compromising machines and then post it to YouTube. Probably not the smartest thing this guy did. Romanian police conducted 36 raids last Monday morning and arrested 20 people suspected of phishing, credit card skimming, or other forms of electronic bank fraud. The gang is suspected to be as large as 70 people and targeted citizens of Romania and the United States. It is thought that the gang defrauded several U.S. citizens of over $1 million. We'll be back with more HNNcast right after these messages.
Sponsor HNNcast for $5,000 a year.
Advertise on our video podcast or website.
Support us by buying our merchandise.
Air a 60-second ad like this one for only $2,000.
Contact sales at hackernews.com.
Welcome back to HNNcast. Latvian police have identified Neo, the attacker turned folk hero who broke into Latvian government systems to expose the high salaries received by state officials despite severe economic difficulties in the country. Neo has been identified as Ilmars Poikans, an artificial intelligence researcher in the University of Latvia's Computer Science Department. He has admitted he was the person behind the embarrassing leaks that showed government officials earning higher and higher salaries. In February, Neo claimed via Twitter to have downloaded more than 7 million records from the SRS Electronic Declaration System, a database of taxpayer information that included salary information for government officials. He then published much of the information online. Using Twitter as his bully pulpit, he argued that the huge salaries of politicos were proof the country got a raw deal after accepting the conditions of a large loan from the International Monetary Fund. The Latvian people consider Neo a modern-day Robin Hood. Where was our Robin Hood when Goldman Sachs was ripping us off? Facebook was hit with a huge malware campaign from a rogue application last weekend. The application hit approximately 300,000 people before Facebook could shut it down some 15 hours after the attack started. In addition, Facebook engineers were sent scrambling to fix a cross-site request forgery flaw found by an outside researcher that could have given an attacker complete control over a user's profile. And in yet another related story, Facebook has added new features to its website in an effort to help users increase the security of their accounts. The login notification feature lets users approve devices they use to log into their Facebook account and receive notifications when their account is accessed from a non-approved device. Of course, when Facebook just gives your information away to third-party sites, does extra security at the account level really make any difference? So Microsoft has come out with a new program called Omega, or Defensive Information Sharing Program, which will send detailed information on the vulnerabilities in upcoming patches to governments and other national-level agencies. According to Microsoft, this is an effort to help secure critical infrastructure and government assets. I'm not really sure what they attempt to accomplish by announcing vulnerability information early. Once it's out there, it's out there. Unless it becomes classified top secret or something, there's nothing preventing the bad guys from obtaining this information. What this really does is give a free head start to the three-letter agencies to go and break into the systems of opposing governments and corporations. And now Courtney brings us a story about the security, or lack thereof, of automotive control systems. Courtney?
Thanks, Space Rogue. You may have heard not too long ago about a research paper that recently explained how vulnerable vehicle control systems are. The researchers were evidently able to easily control aspects of modern vehicles, things like turning up the volume of the radio or blowing hot air out of the vents. And then they hooked up a wireless laptop and found they could remotely control things like brakes and acceleration. In conclusion, these researchers called for tighter security in vehicle control systems. They claim they didn't want to spread fear and panic, but that's exactly what they've done, and the media has followed suit in covering a report that's illuminated nothing new or unknown. Car enthusiasts have been exploring car computers for decades. Some go so far as to solder new chips into them so they can change the ignition timing table or the air-fuel ratio. But the biggest issue I have with this exploit, if you can call it that, is that it requires physical access to your car, and not just access to the outside of the car, like putting sugar in the gas tank. This so-called vulnerability requires physical access to the inside of the car. Specifically, the onboard diagnostic port, which is usually located under the driver's side dash. This is the port your mechanic plugs into to read the codes when your check engine light comes on. Stick with me now. So all this hype about people taking control of your car while you're puttering down the freeway on your cell phone is just that. Pure, unadulterated hype. Now I can rest easy knowing that we're all still safe. Hang up and drive. This is Courtney for the Hacker News Network. Back to you, Space Rogue.
Glad to have you back, Courtney. Thanks for the report. Filmed in 2003 and then sitting in a studio vault for almost a decade, an unreleased documentary called Hackers Wanted has been leaked onto the Pirate Bay. The movie, narrated by actor Kevin Spacey, follows the exploits of Adrian Lamo, once labeled as the homeless hacker, who pleaded guilty in 2004 to breaking into the internal network of the New York Times. The movie failed to get a conventional release after alleged conflict surfaced between the movie's producer and others involved in the film. Adrian Lamo has denied any involvement in the leak, but has asked anyone who downloads a copy to make a donation to WikiLeaks. There have been more than a few phishing attacks lately. One new one specifically targets human resource departments with a zip file attachment entitled New Resume. When opened, the attachment drops the Ofikla bot and communicates with command and control servers in Russia. But an even more interesting phishing attack targets specific instructors at Harvard University. Evidently, a student created a fake website that looked just like Harvard's grading portal and then emailed his instructors with links to the fake site. When the instructors logged into the fake site, he redirected them back to the real site, but kept the login credentials so that he could change his grades. Something tells me this guy will end up being the next Bill Gates or even Mark Zuckerberg, both of whom left Harvard a little early. Most of us know that copy machines and a lot of fax machines have hard drives and keep copies of everything copied, faxed, or scanned, right? Oh, you didn't know that? Well, the folks over at the FTC are pressuring manufacturers that they inform customers of these features. Seems that a lot of companies are disposing of these old machines and forgetting that they contain valuable data that could pose a security risk to the company or its employees. Yeah, not to mention the out-of-date and unpatched operating systems sitting on your network like a ticking time bomb. We'll be right back with the HNN Quickies right after these messages.
Hello, this is Jack Daniel, and when I'm commuting on Route 128 and bored, I watch Hacker News Network.
Bye. 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 Bye.
Hacker News t-shirts. $25 at www.hackernews.com.
Welcome back to HNNCast. Now for a few quick stories we found on the net this week. The U.S. Air Force now has 30,000 cyber warriors ready to do battle on the front lines of cyberspace. Yeah, whatever. Evidently, by changing the job description of regular network admins, the Air Force can now claim a massive combat-ready cyber force. I wonder how China will respond to that. Earlier this week, we tweeted that Solo, aka Gary McKinnon, would in fact be kept in the UK and tried there for his break-ins of NASA computers years ago. While the Free Gary campaign is hopeful for a stay of his extradition from the newly elected UK government, it hasn't actually happened yet. The Home Secretary, Theresa May, has ordered an adjournment of next week's High Court hearing and plans to have Solo medically examined to see if he is capable of surviving an extradition or not. I thought he already had a medical examination. Symantec has found another false positive with its rapid release and live update products. A recent definitions update found a part of the game World of Warcraft as malicious. Symantec was able to push out a corrected update within a few hours, but not before more than a few World of Warcraft players were affected. A recent survey of researchers who sell vulnerabilities has found that most vulnerabilities are sold for less than $5,000 each. So while bug hunting may be a good way to earn a little extra cash, it doesn't look like you're going to get rich from it. Dancho Danchev and the Coopface gang seem to have started a heated little war of words between his blog and their source code. The malware writing gang and the security researcher have been trading barbs back and forth, each accusing the other of basically making stuff up. Amusing to read, anyway. A court injunction threatened the bandwidth provider of the Pirate Bay with huge fines and forced the ISP to disconnect the torrent site from the net earlier this week. However, the Pirate Bay rebounded quickly and found bandwidth with the Pirate Party of Sweden. The ball is now back in Hollywood's court as the game continues. There will be a new release of the book Hackers by Stephen Levy. The 25th anniversary edition includes new content from Bill Gates, Richard Stallman, and Steve Wozniak, and is scheduled to be released on the 26th of May. If you've never read this book, I highly recommend it. Mitchell Frost from Ohio has been charged with launching numerous DDoS attacks against conservative websites, including those of Bill O'Reilly, Ann Coulter, and Judy Giuliani in March of 2007. Frost, a previous freshman at the University of Akron, has been charged with 1 count each of damaging a protected computer system and possessing unauthorized access devices. There were a few notable defacements over the last week, mostly for the purposes of pumping malware or pharmaceutical ads. Sites included the Registry of Deeds for Barnstable County in Massachusetts, the My Telegraph website of the UK newspaper, and the website for the Minnesota representative Michelle Bachmann. The phone system for the Manchester United football team in the UK was evidently broken into by a bunch of Chelsea fans. The Chelsea fans replaced the normal recorded welcome message with one of a bunch of fans chanting, "We are champions!" Manchester changed the recording back as quickly as they could. It looks like Symantec is going to buy VeriSign for $1.3 million. Ooh, billion bucks. Wow. VeriSign will join PGP and Guardian Eagle on the list of Symantec's recent acquisitions. Metasploit has released a testbed called Metasploitable to help test their Metasploit installations. Metasploitable is an Ubuntu 8.0 server installed on a VMware image that comes with numerous vulnerable packages. Obviously, don't install this on a public internet-facing machine unless you want to get owned real quick. But it should make testing Metasploit a whole lot easier. RSA has opened its call for papers for next February's conference in San Francisco. The call for papers closes in July. I have to wonder just how relevant a 6-month-old talk will be come next spring. ThoughtCon in Chicago has opened its t-shirt design contest for next year's con. At least a t-shirt design probably won't become obsolete by the time the con rolls around. Lots of news coming out of Vegas as everyone prepares for DEF CON 18 later this summer. The DEF CON 18 artwork contest is now open. This year they're looking for submissions such as a browser theme, a desktop wallpaper, or a short animation. Punk AB was the first team to crack the Mystery Challenge registration process. If you attempted to register for the Open Capture the Flag competition, you might want to try again, as evidently the registration page was broke. And one little HNN note before we get to the stack of shame. We're looking for some assistance with HNN. Everything from web design to news reporting to sales. There's a link on our website in the classified section for what we're looking for. If you think you can help us out, send us an email. And now for this week's Stack of Shame. We have 2 birthdays on the list this week, one from Computer Associates discovered by Sebastian Apelt, which turns 2 years old, and one from IBM also discovered by Sebastian Apelt, which turns 3. Hey, good work, Sebastian. So here's a list of all known open vulnerabilities as cataloged by the Zero Day Initiative.
Welcome to the real world.
That's it for this week's HNNcast. I've been your host, Space Rogue, and you've been watching the Hacker News Network.
Remember, if you have any news you think we should report, send it to news@hackernews.com. You have been watching HNNcast. This is Space Rogue for the Hacker News Network.
Fun to do bad things.